All right. Hello. How you doing? I'm waiting for a couple of people to drop into the stream. If you'll just bear with me for 1 minute. But what you can do, if you're watching this after the live stream, is you can smoke right at the beginning with me. And like that, all of a sudden we have 2 people. Fantastic. Awesomeness. Awesomeness. All right. Welcome to the Daily Faded. My name is Hetz. This is where we get faded daily and talk about the politics and news of the day. And there's plenty to talk about yet again tonight. We are back to the lesser of two evils. It is now 100% Donald Trump versus Joe Biden. And I know for some people that's an easy choice because they hate Trump so much and they're willing to overlook the drawbacks to Joe Biden. But I think it as a choice, and I'm not going to go off on this too much right now because I'm sure I'll be talking about it a lot over the coming weeks and months. But we really should re-examine our system of governance when we're given a choice between Joe Biden and Donald Trump. I mean, something is not working about this system. Something is not right. Of all the people in the country, the two who represent these weird artificial halves of the country are Joe Biden and Donald Trump. Oh man. I wanted to talk a little bit about the numbers tonight. I've been obviously mentioning the numbers every night, but the numbers are pretty astonishing tonight. The world is up to over 1.5 million confirmed cases, total confirmed cases. The United States is 435,128. 435,128 confirmed cases, which is up a little over 8% from yesterday, and 14,795 deaths, which is up 14.7% from yesterday, and that puts us ahead of Spain. I predicted earlier today that we would be in second place tomorrow, but we are in second place in deaths tonight. And we are at this rate going to go flying by Italy, whose number is at 17,669 and is increasing at a little bit over 3% a day. These are big numbers, folks. I don't know how many 9/11's 14,795 people is, but this is a far bigger tragedy than 9/11. This was more preventable than 9/11, in my humble opinion. Or at least this death toll was more preventable. Spain, Italy, Germany, France are all over 100,000 now. China's at 83,000. Iran is at 64,000. The UK is at 60,000. Turkey is at 38,000 with a 12% increase from yesterday and a 12% increase in deaths. We'll turn to the United States. Again, 14,795 people have died of coronavirus that we know about. This is really cheerful, isn't it? Oh boy, I'm going to do a little tap dance now for a minute. But sometimes we've just got to plow through the numbers. New York has lost 6,268 people. That's a 14+% change from yesterday, and 151,000 is over 7% increase in confirmed cases in New York. So New York has more confirmed cases than Spain has 148. Hold on, sorry, so New York has more confirmed cases than any country in the world outside of the United States. Hamza, my brother, good to see you. Yeah, this was easily more preventable than 9/11. Easily more preventable than 9/11. And here in Los Angeles County, we had our worst day yet with 29 more deaths and 620 new confirmed cases in Los Angeles. That is the most deaths that we've had in a single day. I'm not sure if that's the most confirmed cases we've had in a single day or not. There was interesting news from Governor Gavin Newsom today. Hey, Dokes, what's up? Hamza, I don't know, man. I don't know if it's going to get scary here in LA or not. It's certainly going to get bad. But I don't think it's going to get New York bad. Gavin Newsom, when he spoke today, there wasn't much to report. There was a ton to report on, but one of the first things that he said was that looking through 40% of the case data that they have, the California's infection rate and death rate is roughly on par with the percentage of Latinos, Asian Americans, and Blacks in the population. So it roughly looks now, and this is again only with 40% of the data, and who knows if that data is all from white areas? Who knows? But with the limited perspective of that amount of data, California is handling it from a class conscious, race conscious kind of a way, and making sure that everyone is taken care of. So that's good. And, there are huge class and race differences in hospital care in Los Angeles. If you look at the difference between Cedars-Sinai Hospital in, I don't know if it's Beverly Hills or West LA, I guess it's West LA, or West Hollywood, I don't know. But, if you look at Cedars-Sinai and you look at MLK, there's a lot of inequality between those two hospitals. I don't have the details front and center, but I did read an article about that recently, comparing the two. And because Cedars-Sinai has more beds, it gets more money. But I think MLK has more emergency room cases. Anyway, Garcetti was also good tonight. Garcetti made a very earnest plea to Congress to do work extremely segregated metro area. Absolutely. I was actually going to talk about that. But what was I saying? Oh, Garcetti made a great plea to Congress to make cash payments to undocumented Americans. And I was really happy to see that. He made a strong argument. He also asked immediately for the state to apply the earned income tax credit on the state taxes to undocumented workers. Something else that would obviously be helpful. Now, there was an article that I was watching Tom and Jerry with my daughter, because that's what I do instead of reading to her at night, because I'm a terrible parent. We do read during the day. Did it piss the far right off that I was watching Tom and Jerry with my daughter? I hope so. Anyway, I saw this headline come over my watch from the New York Times. Coronavirus in New York came mainly from Europe, studies show. New research indicates that the coronavirus began to circulate in the New York area by mid-February, weeks before the first confirmed case, and that it was brought to the region mainly by travelers from Europe, not Asia. The majority is clearly European, said Harm Van Bakel, a geneticist at Icahn School of Medicine at Mount Sinai, who co-wrote a study awaiting peer review. A separate team at NYU Grossman School of Medicine came to strikingly similar conclusions, despite studying a different group of cases. Both teams analyzed genomes from coronaviruses taken from New Yorkers starting in mid-March. The research revealed a previously hidden spread of the virus that might have been detected if aggressive testing programs had been put in place. On January 31st, President Trump barred foreign nationals from entering the country if they had been in China, the site of the virus's first known outbreak, during the previous 2 weeks. So, in January, a team of Chinese and Australian researchers published the first genome of the new virus. Since then, researchers around the world have sequenced over 3,000 more. Some are genetically identical to each other, while others carry distinctive mutations. That's kind of frightening. But fascinating spin on the Chinese virus / Chinese flu talking point. It did not. It may have come originally from China through Europe, but when Trump loves to brag about how early he closed the border with China, and clearly he should have been closing the border with Europe at that time. I gotta put this down. So before I get into Trump lunacy tonight, I wanted to just read to you a little bit from this article in Washington Post. The headline was WHO pushes back at Trump, says countries shouldn't politicize virus if they don't want more body bags. World Health Organization Director General Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus, pardon my pronunciation, hit back at Trump's criticism of the organization on Wednesday, saying countries should avoid politicizing the virus issue, quote, if you don't want to have many more body bags, end quote. In recent days, the WHO has resisted following the Trump administration's line of accusing China of worsening the pandemic by withholding information, instead taking a conciliatory approach of praising all countries for their cooperation. Tedros said at a news conference on Wednesday that the focus of all political parties should be to save their people. He said the WHO's stance was that even strong countries would be in more crisis without unifying. So there's not much to say here about what Tedros said, other than he's right. You know, he's absolutely right. You know, I don't think there's any upside to blaming China. I don't think there is. Maybe there's upside to it if you're Trump and you're running for Trump's base. Then maybe there's upside to blaming China. But you know, China didn't fucking want this. They didn't invent this virus. They didn't. It's not a bioweapon. They didn't spring it on us. They didn't want this any more than we wanted it. Nobody wanted this. Nobody anywhere wanted this. So the notion of the U.S. holding back funding from the WHO at this moment is complete insanity. I mean, it's just, you couldn't make a worse decision than to suddenly cut the funding to the WHO. And I don't even know if he can do that. He would try. He would certainly try because he thinks he can do anything. So he would try. But how many lives would have been saved in the United States if we had taken the tests from the WHO that they offered us very early on in the process? How many more Americans would be alive? Yeah, the WHO has made some mistakes. We've made some mistakes. Gavin Newsom has made some mistakes. Andrew Cuomo has made some mistakes. Everyone's made some mistakes. Some idiots have been really stupid, like Ron DeSantis in Florida. But anyway, it's just the new scapegoating. So Trump came out in his press briefing and just trashed the WHO. We spend too much on them. They minimize the threat. Trump had the gall to say that the WHO minimized the threat of the coronavirus. That boggles my mind. That really boggles my mind. He did a weird call out to grocery workers where he was like, someone said I should mention the grocery workers. Okay. So the grocery workers, call out to the grocery workers. It was almost that bad. It was terrible. And he, kept always peppers everything with how this is going to be over soon. I think we will be sooner rather than later. I mean, are people going to look back on this 50 years from now and say what a great American leader he was because he was saying, I think it will be sooner rather than later? Come on. But these daily press briefings are becoming a bit of a joke anyway, because Trump just lies and lies nonstop and miscontextualizes things, and he's just terrible. Someone asked him today if he's going to pardon Joe Exotic. I don't watch that show, so I don't have an opinion on whether or not Joe Exotic should be pardoned. I don't think he should. Sounds like he did something pretty awful. Tried to hire a hitman to kill an animal rights activist. Is that right? And then for some reason he turned it over to Dr. Birx, and she came out and she started talking about how much better we're doing than other countries and how other countries are trying to learn from what we're doing. And I hope this reaches a wide international audience. I hope this video goes super viral and people somehow watch it in 195 different languages. The Daily Faded has a message for the world. For all of you out there, whether you're in Egypt or Irkutsk or Australia or Easter Island, wherever you are, do not follow the leadership of the United States right now. Just don't do it. Don't do it. Go to Taiwan. Go meet some people from Taiwan. Talk to some people from South Korea. Do not take advice from Americans. And so people take Burke seriously, but she said some weird shit. And how can I take her seriously when she says we're doing such a great job when, in a day or two, we're going to have more deaths than any other country on Earth, and we're set to keep going for a while? It doesn't look like anyone's likely to catch up to us. So how can she say that we're doing such a great job. I understand that, you know, I understand positive reinforcement for the social distancing and the stay at home thing. I get that. That's fine, but don't just lie to us like that. You know, don't just lie to us. Um, you know, uh, then Trump comes back and he does a long tirade about vote by mail being terrible for voter fraud, and he vamped for a while about why Bernie supporters should vote for Trump. He kept saying the numbers are coming down, which is conflating that he's in probably intentionally or maybe unintentionally because he's stupid. Um, he's conflating the rate of increase with the numbers. He says the numbers are coming down. The numbers are not coming down. We just went through them. They're going up. They're going up, and the rate of increase of deaths is a lagging indicator, and that's the more important indicator. And it's going up. So when he says the numbers are coming down, oh God, they're so self-congratulatory. He is so self-congratulatory. So then Trump, there was a ton of other stuff, and I was a little stoned, and I couldn't I couldn't take it, so I didn't write anything else down. Except for right after Trump left, Pence took the podium, and Pence says we find ourselves in a very tough week, and he starts talking about how awful it is that so many people are dying, and how people are going to take comfort in their prayers and their Seder dinners, just with their immediate family and blah blah blah. And it was like, since Trump is unwilling to acknowledge how much death is being wrought upon the American people right now by the coronavirus, um, Pence comes out and does the dirty work, says the bad stuff that the president doesn't want to say. Um, yeah, the cabinet is always, Hamza J says, well, the cabinet is doing a great job patting Trump on the back. They are always good at patting Trump on the back. Um, let's see here. So, changing the subject, Bernie Sanders dropped out of the Democratic presidential primary today. I'm not surprised. And to tell you the truth, I'm not even really all that upset about it, because I feel like I came to terms with this at least a couple of weeks ago. Certainly, yeah, I mean, the coronavirus thing became much more important in many ways. Um, and I've been screaming for people to pay attention to Bernie's message during the coronavirus crisis, because I think his message is the right message, and he's suggesting the right policies that we need. But they weren't going to give him another debate against Biden. There should have been another debate. And at the end of the day, Bernie wouldn't take out the big guns against Joe Biden. And you see what Trump does to Joe Biden in the press briefings. Someone read a Joe Biden tweet that criticized the president, and Trump goes, Joe Biden didn't write that. He probably doesn't even, a professional, a Democratic insider wrote that. And, he's probably not even watching this. And if he is, he doesn't understand what he's watching. So Trump is vivisecting Joe Biden right in front of our eyes. And this is just the beginning. This is like they haven't taken the gloves off yet. Pence is a lobotomized Biden. I don't know, man. Biden seems lobotomized. I think Biden is more lobotomized than Pence. I don't know what's wrong with Pence. He's just a maniac. Um, uh, but the question of whether or not Bernie should have dropped out, I think, is worth talking about. Um, you know, there's a there's a there's there are a lot of things to weigh when you look at the question of whether or not Bernie should have dropped out. There's the movement. What does it mean to the movement? There's the platform. What does it mean to the platform? Does it matter what it means to the platform? Um, if he's got the money and wants to keep running, and people want to go out and vote for him, or hopefully vote for mail, vote for him, why not? He has said that people can vote for him if they want to, and whatever delegates he gets, he'll use to try and push the platform to the left. Um, that happened. We supposedly had the most progressive Democratic Party platform ever in 2016 because of concessions that Bernie Sanders won using those techniques. Um, but did that mean anything? Did anyone think she was a progressive candidate? I mean, people on the right did, but they can't tell the difference between a progressive and a corporate Democrat. They literally can't tell the difference. Um, so, so then you come to questions like, well, what about the supporters? And what about getting the supporters to vote for Biden? And is it important to get the supporters to vote for Biden? Um, Let me just say it really simply. I just don't think Joe Biden can beat Trump. I think Trump can manage the propaganda well enough to survive the pandemic. I do. Um, the enthusiasm numbers, Joe Biden's enthusiasm numbers are so low, and Donald Trump's are so high. That's just a bad sign of things to come. So, what will Bernie's followers do? Um, what will Bernie's followers do? And what should they do? How will they behave and how will they vote? Let's use past as precedent on the question of voting. Exit polling showed that 12.5% of Bernie supporters in 2016 voted for Donald Trump in the general election, whereas a much larger 25% of Hillary Clinton voters voted for McCain over Obama in 2008. So, as we see, people who supported Bernie Sanders were more likely to support Hillary Clinton than Hillary Clinton supporters were likely. They were twice as likely to support the Democrat as Hillary Clinton supporters in 2008. So I would say, relatively speaking, that's a good number. Um, and I remember seeing something like 19% of Obama supporters said they would never vote for Hillary Clinton and they would vote for McCain. Um, I think it was 19%. Um, so I think we can extrapolate that voters who, regular voters, habitual voters who voted for Bernie in the primary will vote in the general election and they will vote for Joe Biden. I just think that there's no reason to expect them not to do that. There's no validity to the claim that Bernie Sanders somehow hurt Hillary Clinton's campaign. I don't accept. I'm always willing to hear an argument, but I haven't heard a good argument for that. I have not heard a good faith argument for that. I have not heard an honest argument for that. So the primary voters who voted for Bernie, most of them will vote for Joe Biden. A small subset of them will vote for Donald Trump. And we're talking about the primary voters here. And a small group of them will vote third party or choose not to vote. I would never vote for Donald Trump in a million years. And I'm probably not going to vote for Joe Biden because of the Iraq War, because I don't vote for warmongers. I have a pretty strict rule about that. It's just a personal thing. I can't do it. I can't sign my name to someone who's going to murder innocent children overseas. I can't do it. I won't do it. I made the mistake of voting for Obama, and look what he did, turning 2 wars into 7. Look at what he did in Libya. Look at what he started in Yemen. So, but that's just the primary voters that we're talking about. And that's a small portion of the general electorate. The primary voters do not represent the general electorate. So now you got to ask yourself the what's the general electorate going to do? They're going to see Donald Trump and they're going to have some opinion of Donald Trump, and they're going to see Joe Biden, and Donald Trump may be corrupt, and he may be obnoxious, but there are people who think he's running the country really well. And the propaganda is unpredictable, and the success or failure of the propaganda is unpredictable. How will Trump spin what is going to happen, what is happening right now? How will he spin it? I could see a lot of ways that he could spin it that would work for the people who buy what he sells. So so the question is, it's really a question of turnout. I just got completely lost and forgot what I was saying, but I figured it out again. People made a big deal this past weekend over the fact that Joe Rogan said he would rather have Trump than he would rather not have. I think he said he would rather not have Biden than not have Trump. And he said, he made it very clear that the reason was he genuinely believed that Joe Biden is not cognitively all there, and that it's cruel of his family to do this to him. And I think there's a fair argument to that. I don't think he's. I just don't think he's. I think I know more about what I'm talking about than him, and I'm stoned, and I'm on my patio. Look, I don't want to take anything away from Joe Biden's experience. Obviously, he does have an amazing career, an amazing experience, even if I disagree with almost everything he's ever done. But Joe Rogan represents the actual middle in America. And so now they want Bernie Sanders to denounce Joe Rogan because Joe Rogan said this thing about Joe Biden. And what they don't recognize, what they don't understand is that they don't understand that Joe Rogan is exactly that quote unquote swing voter that's so hard to get. You have to have a candidate who can win the trust and the support of people who otherwise would support the other candidate. That's what it's all about. So the fact that Joe Rogan is gettable by Bernie Sanders, but not gettable by Joe Biden, again tells you gives you some indication of how this thing is going to go. Now, look, it's entirely possible that the propaganda and spin from the Trump administration doesn't work, and Trump is the most reviled president in American history by the time November comes along, and then Joe Biden wins. Then Joe Biden wins. But do you really think that Donald Trump is going to wilt in the sunlight? Do you really think he's gonna back down? Do you think Donald Trump is going to tell the truth? Do you think Donald Trump is going to take it easy? I mean, he's not going to. And I just don't know how Joe Biden survives it. I don't know how he makes it through. So some younger people are not going to vote who would have voted for Bernie. Some working class people are not going to vote who would have voted for Bernie. And again, it's not about they hate Biden. It's about they trusted Bernie and they were willing to get off their couch and do something for Bernie because they believed that Bernie had their back. And I don't think does anybody really think Joe Biden has their back? Are people really like working class Joe? Are they really swayed by that malarkey? I mean, come on. Come on. They called him the senator from MBNA. He's a banking guy. He's the senator from Delaware. Delaware's like the most corrupt state in the country. Although so many states in this country are so fucking corrupt. I don't know that you could say that when Illinois exists. But come on, working class Joe. Nobody believes that shit, man. So here's the deal, as Joe Biden likes to say. I don't think it mattered whether Bernie dropped out today or not. I really don't. I don't think the timing changed anyone's mind. I think the Bernie supporters like myself who can't bring themselves to vote for Biden, and I remind you, even though everyone watching this stream knows this, I am in the state of California, and this state will go to Joe Biden. So don't blame me for 4 more years of Trump. And don't ask me what I would do if I lived in Ohio, because I don't know. But but what I can tell you, okay, I just got lost there again. I'm very stoned at this point. I should definitely smoke some more. Don't worry, I'm about to wrap it up. Yeah. So, and now I know what I was going to say. Whatever happens, if Joe Biden wins, it will because Joe Biden is awesome. That's what they will say. And if Joe Biden loses, no matter what happens, even if Joe Biden loses because he eats his own fart on the stage at the debate with Trump, and Trump points it out and mocks him for it, they'll still blame it on Bernie Sanders. They're going to keep blaming it on Bernie Sanders. Fucking CNN. God damn it, I'm going to end on this. Bernie did a statement today, and he said, congratulations to Joe Biden. You're a fine man. And, looking forward to defeating Donald Trump. And the CNN anchors who were responding to it after, I guess they showed it, which they don't normally, of course, the only thing they show of Bernie is when he actually is dropping out of the race. it cuts to these 3 CNN anchors, and all 3 of them complain about the fact that Bernie didn't say anything nice about Joe Biden. I just saw it with my own 2 eyes. He just congratulated Joe Biden for winning and said he looks forward to working with him to defeat Donald Trump. How is that not? What is he supposed to do? I mean, if he got down on his hands and knees, there's nothing he can do that would satisfy these ghouls. That's just the way it is. That's just the way it is. So, it's like Zombieland out there, my friends. Watch out. I shouldn't say that. That's not nice. Because I would hate for someone to think that I was comparing someone who has COVID-19 with a zombie. That's not nice. I take that back. I apologize to anyone who I've offended, because that was the wrong thing to say. But it does feel like the end of the world out there. And I think I have to go buy more weed tomorrow. Anyway, peace out. Stay safe. Stay well. I'll see you tomorrow night.